Well, hello there, people. How's it going? How's it going? The Explorer of Horror is finally back. Today's been a very busy day. I actually had a lot to do today, and I managed to get a crap ton of stuff done. So that's good. I apologize for that. I don't know. I thought this was muted. Hold on, real quick. Let me turn the volume down on this thing. But how are you guys doing, real quick? Sorry about that. Am I coming in loud and clear now? I had to turn the volume down because I didn't realize that I had the volume up pretty loud. So it's a good thing I didn't start the movie and have the volume blaring like that. Um, Even though I kind of want to leave it up just a little bit. Do want to hear some background noise. We got Colton the guy here. What's up? How you doing, Colt? Um, Tonight, bro, we're gonna be watching Evil Dead. I think I gave you my old DVDs of Evil Dead. If I didn't, I'll have to get those to you because I did upgrade to Blu-ray for these. So, um, we're gonna be watching Evil Dead 1 and 2 tonight, man. To prep for the new Evil Dead Rise, we're gonna try and watch that. Knock on wood. Try to watch that when it comes out in the theater, and I figured that I would do a few streams to get ready and prepared for that film. I want to do this stream, which is really cool because these movies are so short that literally this will not take that long. It will not be that long of a stream. As far as for us to sit down and watch two movies, it really won't take that long. Um, and I also want to watch Army of Darkness and the remake eventually too. And so we'll basically be able to get on here and just chill, watch Evil Dead. Um, oh, that sucks, man. That sucks. Put some aloe stuff on it, man. That really helps. That's what I always is. My shoulders get real sunburnt bad. Like it must be sensitive skin or so, I don't know, but like my shoulders and my back, they get really horribly sunburned. So yeah, I don't know. Just I think it might be just sensitive skin there or something. I'm not sure. But use some aloe, man. Some aloe, like gel or cream, will work. That's usually what I use, and it's really, really awesome when you have a sunburn and the aloe just makes it cools it down. It's amazing. Um, so tonight we will be watching Evil Dead Live, hanging out, chilling. Um, I'm not going to be able to pull these movies up on the screen for us to watch because these movies are copyrighted. So if I try to do that, it will end up uh, getting probably taken down halfway. Who owns these movies? I want to say for some reason Universal owns these movies. So it says Anchor Bay, Lionsgate. This came out in like this Blu-ray came out in 2017. I honestly don't know who owns the rights to Evil Dead right now. I'm assuming Warner Bros with HBO Max and everything, but um so unfortunately I won't be able to show it on the screen, but I do have the movie in right now. I'm actually paused right on the part where it says Renaissance Pictures presents. On this Blu-ray, I'm 7 seconds in. I don't know if you have HBO Max or if you have a streaming service. Try to hunt this movie down. Look for it on Tubi. Look for it on YouTube. There's, I think, plenty of ways you can watch Evil Dead that's out there. Especially the first movie. This movie is very popular, very common. And what I'm gonna do real quick though, before I get into the stream, is I'm gonna actually share out some stuff. And I probably should have done that when we was still before the show actually started, but I forgot to. So I'm just gonna share the stream out for a quick second and get everybody in here, and we'll just start watching some Evil Dead. So I'll be right back. All right, y'all. So I am back. Shared the stream out, and so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and start. And as people come in, I'll give some timestamps. If need be, I'll just try to stall for a little bit and uh, just give some people some time to come in here. If need be as well, I will, pause the movie and let you guys know where I'm at. We'll see how many people come in here. It's 10 o'clock right now, but it's Saturday, y'all. It's Saturday. Y'all got to stay up a little bit late on Saturday. We can't be all sleeping in early on Saturday. Um, but yeah, Evil Dead Rise, man. I'm excited for it. Honestly, I seen the first trailer and it gave away a lot of stuff. So after I had watched it, I basically I watched the first teaser they put out, and it gave away a lot of stuff in the movie. So basically, I avoided all the other teasers and stuff they put out. Oh, nice, man. Yeah, the showcase works. The My Rise works. I've heard the My GM is better. The my thing with these 2K games, though, man, is I go into those games for the universe mode. I love universe mode because literally you could spend just honestly as long as you want playing universe mode. I've grinded for hours. I've done so much in depth stuff. I've designed characters and made backstories and everything. I get into stuff like that. I like the whole building characters, world building, and I wish that 2K would honestly put more options in the game to enhance universe mode. Because at one point in time, universe mode, you could create your own storylines. Like you could literally put dialogue in there and it would be the dialogue that you type and it would pop up at the wrestlers are pretty much cutting promos, but it's dialogue that you actually typed in there. And it hasn't been done in a while, man, but I really miss that because you combine that kind of feature with today's games, I think you'll have one of the greatest wrestling games of all time because they're nailing that 2K that showcase mode. They're nailing that for the most part. I mean, last year's I thought was okay. It was decent. I think this year's showcase mode was a lot better. And yeah, I just think that you have the My GM that's better. You have more match types. You have relatively better looking customization options. So I think if you add in all that plus you enhance the universe mode, it would, like I said, it would just be the perfect wrestling game to me because that's the universe mode is what I go into for. And so far, I've been creating these wrestlers for universe mode. And when I was getting to this before I veered off to the left to talk about random stuff, but um, I go to universe mode to build, the roster, create characters, design storylines, and it crashes every time. It crashes. And I've had people tell me that they don't have that issue, that it's just me, maybe. I don't think so. I've done research. It's crashing for all kinds of people, PC, Xbox, PlayStation. So I think 2K severely needs to fix that because, if I'm over here creating a wrestler and it's crashing on me, like I don't remember the last wrestling game that crashed when I was, when I was just creating wrestlers. Like it wasn't like I was wrestling with them or anything. It was just it's just creation of the wrestlers. Besides that, though, everything else in the game works very well. And I do think it was a slight step up from 2K22. I think that was a lot better than 2K22. And they can only really go up from here. So, well, hopefully, we'll see. I'm actually going to check real quick. Is my chat glitched? I don't know if it's glitched or not. Let me check. Oh, my chat, and it doesn't look like it's glitched. So that's cool. I know I've been having issues with it glitching lately, so that sucks. But also, if you guys hear some background noise while I'm doing these commentaries, these live watch-alongs, I have a fan right next to me, so I'm gonna try and keep that on whenever it gets hot because my room is like about 80 degrees right now. So like, yeah, I'm in the Sahara Desert watching Evil Dead. But yeah, we're gonna get started. So, like I said, right now I'm at the 7-second mark. Yeah, on point. I guessed that right. So we're gonna go ahead and start. This is Evil Dead 1. If you're watching this in the future, enjoy it. If you're watching it right now, enjoy it. And for those coming in later, I'll see you in a minute. But yeah, let's get started, guys. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. Now, man, Evil Dead 1 is just, to me, it's my favorite. I know a lot of people prefer Evil Dead 2 over this movie, which is understandable. I mean, Evil Dead 2 is just a magnificent sequel. And it Low key is kind of hard to pick a favorite Evil Dead movie because I love all the aspects of all the movies, and I love the rawness, the low budgetness, the charm of Evil Dead One. I love the crazy comedy horror of Evil Dead Two. I love the fantasy comedy, medieval, fantasy of Army of Darkness, and I really dig the going back to the horror roots and making a serious, crazy horror film for the remake. And I think that's why there's such high stakes on the new Evil Dead movie because the older movies, they didn't really have any issues. And there hasn't really been a bad Evil Dead movie. They've all been great in their own unique ways. And I will say, I like the creativity of the series and how they're able to make a different film each time and truly find ways to be unique and different from each other. I do respect that. And of course, it is just always great to revisit this movie, which, by the way, I have the Blu ray. I was going to get a 4K of Evil Dead 1 and 2. I found a 4K that was like really cheap, and it was the first two movies in a pack. And I mean, it was a great deal. Like, it was a fantastic deal for both movies. Um, but these Blu-rays, I mean, this Blu-ray, the first movie is about as good as you could probably get with it. I mean, it looks amazing, a lot of depth to the shots, and I'll say this: if you can find a Blu-ray of Evil Dead One, I found a dual pack with Evil Dead One and Two on Blu-ray, and they both look great. Um, I've watched the first Evil Dead on so many things. I had an old school VHS tape of it. I had an old school DVD of it. Um, I've watched Evil Dead on so many different mediums, and me and Evil Dead go way back. This is one of the first gory horror films that I had ever seen. I remember I had actually been given this box of VHS tapes because I loved VHS tapes. But when I was a kid, Blu-ray and DVD were real popular, and we were starting to get into the 4Ks and everything. And so VHS tapes were really cheap back when I was a kid. They still are. You can go to the thrift store and buy VHS tapes for like 25 cents, 50 cents, a piece. And basically, I was able to get this box of VHS tapes, and it had a lot of those movies that really helped me get into cinema and be a fan of cinema. Of course, horror is my first love. I love horror to death. I watch it the most, but I love cinema. I love film, and there were a lot of movies in that box that got me into film. And I remember I also had the Star Wars trilogy on the old special edition for not 4Ks. It's a VHS. You're not going to get 4K of that, but the old school big box VHS tapes. Um, it had all three movies in it, and that's how I seen the Star Wars movies for the first time. And I don't know, man, just watching Evil Dead on VHS tape when I was a kid, had no clue what Evil Dead was. I just completely went into this movie blind, and I was pretty young. I was probably like 10 years old when I first seen Evil Dead. And by then I had seen horror movies, like I'd seen the Friday the 13th movies for the most part. I had seen Nightmare on Elm Street. I had seen the real mainstream stuff, but I don't really think I watched too many gory horror films. Around the time that I'd watched Evil Dead, I'd also watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And that was another film that really introduced me to just crazy, gory horror. And this movie shocked me. This and that movie really shocked me as a kid. As like I said, I had never seen a movie like this where it's blood, buckets of blood, literally pipes of blood dumping out on people and people rotting and I don't know, it felt more visceral, it felt more gritty, it felt more graphic on VHS. And I think Evil Dead 1 is definitely at its best when it's on the VHS quality. It looks beautiful here. It's fixed up great, a lot of depth and a lot of great restoring of the frames and everything. That's all wonderful. But Evil Dead on VHS, I think it might have even had a crop to it, where it was like a crop screen. And I don't know, man. It was the perfect way to watch it. It was so shocking to me. It was scary. It was disturbing. To me, this movie still is creepy and scary. Um, this is one of those horror films that most of the mainstream crowd kind of looks at as this cheese ball, cheesy, low budget, kind of so bad it's good type of horror film. And I disagree. I think it's a freaking masterpiece. I love everything about it, everything, even its flaws. I love to death. And the flaws to me is what makes the movie even better. It adds a unique charm to it. And, you know, I hear a lot of fans say that. And I think it's true. It really, Evil Dead doesn't need a giant $80 million budget, although I'm pretty sure the newer ones have an insane amount of money put behind them. But Evil Dead was never about the flashy cinema. Well, it is about the flashy cinematography, but it was never about the 50-60 million dollar budgets and explosions and stuff. Evil Dead was that raw, visceral feel, and I feel like the newer films have been able to, including the TV show, have been able to still capture that. Um, but yeah, the first Evil Dead, this is a classic, man. It's a classic to me. It's a masterpiece. I watch it so much, and it's the perfect length because it's a movie that it gets going, it doesn't stop, and then before you know it, the movie's over, and it's just the perfect pacing. It's a fast, quick watch, and I always find myself rewatching the first Evil Dead, um, pretty much all the time, and I just appreciate the fact that this movie was going for serious horror. I know that there's kind of two split things with Evil Dead. There's the serious Evil Dead, then there's the slapstick comedy Evil Dead. And I love both versions. I think both versions of Evil Dead are fantastic. My preferred version is the horror because I really enjoyed that remake. I really love this. I really, Evil Dead 2 had its comedy, but I still loved the horror aspects of that movie. And yeah, it's just I love the fact that the series, has so much to offer as a franchise. And the fact that this first movie was able to be a very serious horror film, despite everything, it was, just had no money, had horrible, like horrific shooting conditions, and they had to go through so much to get this movie made. Um, it's really cool to me that they were able to still make a creepy, effective horror film. Um, and yeah, right now we're just getting introduced to the characters. Scotty, Shelly, um, Cheryl, Ash. A lot of great, Linda. A lot of great characters, memorable characters. I like the characters in this movie. I really like Scotty, Cheryl, Linda, Ash. Which the first time I watched this movie, I had no clue Ash was going to be the lead. It really does sell you on that. Going into the movie blind is the best way to watch it. Just to not, to not know, who the lead's going to end up being. It really surprised me as a kid because, as a kid, I was thinking it was going to be Scotty or it was going to be maybe Linda or something. And it turned out to be Ash. And Ash is very different in this first movie. I mean, he's a lot more of a serious, down to earth type of character. And I mean, even in Evil Dead 2, he wasn't so wisecracky and jokey and, throwing out one liners every time. He was more of, same, just a normal guy going through circumstances and having to try his best to survive the night and get through it as much as possible. I think my chat is glitched because it's not moving. Yeah. Hold up, y'all. My chat is glitched. I'm gonna be right back. All right, I'm back. There we go. There's the chat. I was like, man, I know there's some people here. How's it going, Kelly? How you doing? Right now, we did start the movie. We're about, I don't know, you might have been here when I started it, and the chat was glitched for a while. I don't know what was going on with my chat. But we are 11 minutes in. Yeah. What's up, Cara? How you doing? We're watching Evil Dead 1 right now. If you want to watch along with us, if you want to get it set up, I can give you the time slot. We're at 12 minutes right now, but just let me know if you guys need times for where I'm at. If you guys need me to pause or anything, just let me know. But yeah, I just appreciate the fact that Evil Dead was made. Like it's a film that, had so much going up against it, and I had no clue. Like for years I had no clue. Actually, probably 4 years ago, watched a documentary where it talked about in depth, what they went through to make this movie. And John, what's up, man? How you doing? We're watching Evil Dead 1 right now, man. We're about 13 minutes in now. So if you want to hop on and check out Evil Dead with us, we're going to watch Evil Dead 1 and 2 tonight and prep for Evil Dead Rise, which I'm going to try and see next weekend. Like I said, knock on wood. Hopefully I can see that next weekend. I don't see why not. I'm not going to be very busy, but tonight we're going to be watching Evil Dead 1 and 2. Short, sweet, to the point movies. Real easy watches. And to me, these are some of my favorite movies. So I was going to do this like a year ago, I think. Or no, November. I was supposed to do this stream. I had this stream set up and in the back since November. And I ended up not having the time to watch it. And I figured, I was like, well, Evil Dead Rise is coming up. I have that in the back. It's already in the back burner. I might as well watch Evil Dead 1 and 2 and do commentaries. And all of us, sit down and chill and watch Evil Dead 1 and 2. And that was perfect timing. So I figured I would do it. So with Evil Dead Rise, I watched the first trailer and I noticed it gave away a lot of stuff. And I don't understand why. I mean, I understand trailers have to sell the movie, but the trailer I seen, it showed like full on gore and everything. And it showed a lot of the effects from the movie. And I really didn't like that. I really didn't. I know it's not like a new thing. It's been happening for years. Like look up the trailer for the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They pretty much, it's the whole movie in a nutshell as a trailer. So they've been doing it for years. But yeah, they gave away a lot in the trailer, and I'll be honest, I'm pretty hyped for it. I'm gonna give it a chance. I know a lot of fans are iffy with it, and trust me, after seeing Scream and Wrong Turn and all these other reboots, I'm not as excited as I probably could be. But this, to me, Evil Dead Rise is a bit different. Number one, it's hard to ruin Evil Dead. Evil Dead and Friday the 13th, like it's going to be really hard to mess those up. Number two, I think the trailer had a unique enough concept to make it stick out from the others. I like how it's serious horror again, So you could say it's like, well, it is serious horror again. It's just trying to be like the first one, the remake, and it does give me strong remake vibes from just the way that the creatures look and everything. Um, but I like the idea that it's a family, that there's actually kids there, and they could be in danger from the Deadites. And I thought, it's an interesting plot. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it plays out. Y'all know me; I'm completely honest on here. There are movies I'm excited for that I see, like Infinity Pool. I was excited to see that movie. It ended up being, you know, to me, like one of my least favorite movies of the year. Um, but speaking of movies, I seen The Pope's Exorcist tonight or earlier, and not a very, special. If you're looking for anything groundbreaking type of film, it's not anything like that. But it was okay. It was passable. It was all right. I wouldn't watch it again, but it was, is there. Um, but yeah, Evil Dead Rise. We'll see what's gonna happen here. Ash is more brawn than brains. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. A lot of the stuff in the trailer, some of it seemed like it wasn't very Evil Dead, like her possessed, crawling on the walls and stuff. That didn't really seem like Evil Dead to me. That seemed more like Exorcist type stuff, and even the way she looks. Like, I love the Deadite designs in this first movie. I love it. I love the gray hair and the white contacts and the rotten skin. I love that. To me, in the new movie, it looks like they're trying to be Exorcist. The director hasn't done much, and I feel like this is really a movie no one expected. Yeah, I mean, it came out of nowhere, basically. Um, I love the remake. And that's another thing. I seen that remake in the theater back in the day. And a huge Evil Dead fan, went into it, and ended up being, still to this very day, 10 years later, really enough, it's still my favorite theater experience. Um, that movie, seeing that in the theater on the big screen, and everybody, it was like the fun theater experience you see sometimes in other movies, where people are in the theater, they're throwing popcorn, people are running out, and people are, dry heaving, about to throw up, and people are freaking out and screaming. And I'm over here like, oh my God, this movie's perfect. There's fountains of blood, there's chainsaws through heads, there's just, arms being pulled off, like practical effects too. Some CG, but you got to understand, 2013, every horror film was PG-13 CGI ghost stuff. And for that movie to be a serious take on Evil Dead again, and to feature some more gore and have it be practical, and literally the end of that movie is rain. It's raining blood. Like, it was epic to me. It was epic. I really love that. It's one of my favorite remakes. I love that remake. So that's another reason I love that remake. So I'm excited to see what they do with the new one. Oh yeah, I'm thinking that's what they're probably gonna have a kid die in this new Evil Dead movie. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But if they're gonna have kids there, I'm like, are we gonna have possessed kids, or maybe kids like will be crazy enough to have kids dying? I don't know. How you doing though, Trenchy? Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. We're watching Evil Dead 1 right now. If you want a timestamp, we are at 20 minutes almost. We're at 19:30 right now, but it's almost 20 minutes. So yeah. We're already freaking 20 minutes into this movie. And you see what I mean? This movie's just, it's going. It's going. The energy never stops with Evil Dead. And I love that. The characters, to me, I love the little moments where Ash is playing the game. Stealing from the blind, huh? I like that. That's a good scene. Really heartfelt scene. Do I wish there was a bit more character build? Probably, but little moments like this work. They work just fine. And it was different too, because usually it's a wedding ring, or it's a bracelet, or it's a romantic letter. But the fact that it's this necklace and it's this magnifying glass, it's unique. It stands out. I mean, you remember that. That's a very signature thing from the film. And oh my God, Bruce Campbell and his freaking unibrow on Blu-ray. I can see all the little hairs right there, man. You gotta trim that, my guy. You got a unibrow. He's trying to rock it. I don't know if he is or not, but he's trying to make it a thing. But man, a Blu-ray, it's like hair. I could see just hair. The remake was great. Jane Levy is a great actress and fantastic as the final girl. And I totally agree with that, Trinchy. And I still don't know how that remake never got a sequel. It blew up, and then nobody really talked about it again. It just recently got a 4K, and the 4K doesn't have any features. There's footage from that movie that's not in the movie. So I don't know if there's an extended cut of that movie or not, or an unrated edition or anything like that. Director's cut. There's footage in that movie it's not in the movie. It's taken out. And I kind of wonder if they would make an alternate cut and put that back in. Because there's some scenes in that movie that could be put back in. It would actually help the movie. So I don't know, man. That's one of those movies where it blew up, made a lot of money. People loved it, got a lot of critical acclaim, and just kind of never went anywhere. It was meant to have a sequel. It was meant to spawn a franchise. But I don't think it ever ended up having that. So I don't know. I don't know what happened there. But I know Ash versus Evil Dead came out, and I know people are huge fans of that. I'd say I'm a huge fan of the first season. I think it's one of those shows where it works great as a first season. Season 2 was okay. There's some ideas I don't mind about it. There's some craziness I don't mind about it. But season 3 kind of lost me. About 2 episodes in, I just got lost. Just wasn't really... I don't know. Like I said, it just that Evil Dead, when you're doing it like that, when it's that kind of a story, when it just one season's enough. You did a lot in that one season. You established new lore. You did great character building. In my opinion, you didn't really need any more seasons than that. In my opinion. I love the atmosphere of this first movie, man. The fog, the woods. That howling wind. I don't know where that howling wind sound effect came from. I don't know where they got it, but it is perfect for this movie. It's just a really great atmosphere. And the cabin, apparently, it's real. Like, that was a real cabin out in the woods, not a soundstage or anything like that. Like, they shot this, out in the forest for real. In a real cabin that they had to build from the ground up. And I remember as a kid thinking that the cabin looked somewhat, ragged and almost homemade in a way, like someone made it. Like this cabin looks barely put together. It just looks like it's broken down. And because it was broken down, it was only fixed up for the movie. And they ended up having to redo the whole house and scoop out cow crap, and fix the house up. And it just the cabin's very unique in this movie, very interesting. I heard you. And of course, this is the scene that was definitely really uncomfortable to watch when I was a kid when I first seen this movie. We're coming up on the Vine rape scene, which is, I know Sam Raimi regrets this. I know a lot of the fans are kind of iffy with this scene. To me, it's an effective scene as far as the horror goes, as far as the scares go, and the intensity. I do think it's a bit of a weird, thing, and it got brung back up in Evil Dead the remake, but it's just kind of one of those weird things. It's definitely a bizarre thing to have in this first movie for sure. Is these vines raping this chick. You don't have to kill the children, but you have to at least seriously maim them. This is Evil Dead. Nothing is sacred. Like I said, they're either going to do that, they're going to have a kid, maybe cut their arm off or something. I don't know. It's Evil Dead. You really don't know what to expect when you're bringing in kids to the equation. You know, it's Evil Dead, man. You could be seeing possessions happen. You could be seeing kids, being killed by Deadeye. I don't know what's gonna happen with the kids being there, but it adds a different aspect to that movie. But yeah, like looking back on this scene though, for as just how crazy and out there this scene is, the effects don't look half bad in this scene. They do a lot of reverse camera, where they would have the vine go down, but then they would reverse it and go back up. To me, it looks 1,000 times better than CGI. Like this, to me, looks 1,000 times better than the CGI vines in the Evil Dead remake. I love that remake, but the CGI vines, that definitely didn't look too good. But here, the reverse cinematography, it works. It works. It's a very effective scene. It's a out there scene. It's uncomfortable, but it's an effective scene. Oh no, yeah, just really out there. It was the woods themselves. They're alive, Ashley. They're alive. This movie is the gold standard of independent horror. I absolutely agree, man. This is up there with Halloween and Dawn of the Dead and Chainsaw Massacre, movies that didn't have a lot of money, and Nightmare on Elm Street, movies that just didn't have money. Especially this. I think this and Chainsaw Massacre had the lowest budgets out of all those movies. And they were. It just goes to show, like, you don't need, like, money is no excuse for horror films. There are some horror films to me that that get released, and a lot of them focus on just having the big budgets and stuff like that. You don't need all that money to make a good horror film. I mean, then again, I'm a guy that it's not hard to like please me when it comes to horror. Like, I love Trauma, I love Full Moon. I like stupid, crazy, technically bad movies, but I love them at the same time. Oh, we got Black Wyvern here. What's up, man? Yeah, right, bro. Yeah, right. It's a reach, and the branch thing hasn't been, don't, to my knowledge, before this. The evil seems to get in her through the branch. Yeah, that's it. Kind of. Yeah, I think it led. That's what led to the possession, was that the vine scene. They kind of bring back the tree thing in part two with Bobby Joe is getting dragged. Yeah, I I think I prefer that a lot more. I mean, I guess it's disturbing either way, but like the rape scene is just like it's just out there and bizarre, you know. Uh, but yeah, they did it in a much more toned down way in the second one. Um, but I just want to point out, like, great lighting too. Like, this movie didn't have a big budget for lighting, but I love the usage of the lamps and the headlights on the top of the cabin. Like, that's cool. It really makes it look good. Um, have you ever seen Within the Woods, a short film they made before Evil Dead? I know it's hard to find. I've never seen it. I actually, I actually did see that movie. Um, I ended up checking it out on. Well, it's not a movie; it's a short. My bad. But I ended up seeing it on YouTube. It was. I don't know if it's still on YouTube. Yeah, yeah. It's still a horrifying, scene. Um, but I did see it Within the Woods. It was on YouTube for a minute. I don't know if it still is, and it was okay. You could see the influence. You could see, where it was good. Especially for that low budget and the lack of resources. It was really good. I enjoyed it. Right here, I love this scene where she's just trying to convince them that these trees are alive and no one believes her, and listen to what you're saying. It's a classic scene, man. There's not one scene in this movie that I think you know isn't classic. It doesn't work. It all works. the vine scene, for as disturbing, as uncomfortable as it is, it works. I love the cellar scenes. Great stuff. But I want to ask you guys while you guys are in the chat, what is your favorite Evil Dead movie? Because I know there's like a ton of people that everybody loves different movies in this series. For me, you got to go with the first Evil Dead, man. It's classic. It's straight up horror. It's serious horror. I love the atmosphere of it. I love the look of the Deadites in this movie. It's just, the crazy camera work. A lot of good stuff in this first movie. But what's your guys' favorite Evil Dead movie? I don't get why they didn't add that short film to the Blu-rays and or the big labels that put stuff out aren't. They're all about special features. That'd be perfect addition. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And there's so many different versions out there of this movie. Like, this is literally one of those horror films that has so many, so many different editions. And I'm surprised they haven't. Which is why I don't even know how you see that. Like, I don't even know. Is it on VHS? I don't even know how you watch Within the Woods. So I seen it on YouTube, but I don't even know how you'd be able to watch that. Evil Dead 2, okay. OG for John. Sam Raimi hated Within the Wood. That's why it never got released. It wasn't that bad. It was pretty good for what it was, and it was meant to be. I believe it was meant to be made to get some money raised. Like, they made that as a prototype to get more money raised for this movie. And it's just a really inspirational story about how they ended up getting this movie made. Because, these were, Sam Raimi, and I love this shot where the car is just at it's standing, or it's at a perfect angle. But when Ash gets out, he's like diagonal. He's walking in the mist. I love that. But they actually had to be salesmen, and they were selling something. I can't remember what it was, but they were salesmen. They were raising money that way. They were getting a bunch of doctors and dentists to raise money for the movie, and they were just going door to door and saying, "Hey, do you want to support this horror film?" And these are guys that were in film school, but ended up not finishing film school to make this movie. And this movie would end up leading to Crime Wave, which I know ended up being a big disappointment and a pretty big bump in the road for Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi and Rob Tapert. But they were able to get back on the horse and make Evil Dead 2, then Darkman, and then eventually they were all Sam Raimi mainly was involved with the Spider-Man movies. And it's pretty cool seeing that whole journey, It's pretty cool. The headless dancing scene, then the laughing lamp, deer head. Yeah, I know it is. Yes, pure perfection. So is that the ranking? You got 2, 3, the remake, then 1. Wow, putting Army of Darkness up there. That's great. Yeah, they're pretty hard for me to rank. I honestly, because I love all of them. Every one of them. I know I'd probably have Army of Darkness probably at last place. Then it'd be maybe the remake, then 2, then 1. But I love all of them, so it's kind of hard to rank that. And this scene is pure craziness. I mean, by this point, let me check real quick the time slot where we're at. We're about almost 40 minutes into this movie before it's about 35 minutes in reality, but. When I was a kid watching this, when this scene happened, like, I was just left shocked. I was just like, what the hell did I just see? Because you don't expect possession, I didn't know anything about this movie. So when Cheryl ends up getting possessed and just the makeup and the way it was done, this is really shocking. Really effective scene right here. Queen of I love it though. She's just reading off the different things. But yeah, this scene right here is just absolutely crazy. Oh yeah, but that was really hard to rank. You know, that was really hard to rank. I love all of them, so that's really hard to rank. Tim Murray both appeared in shows. Yeah, yeah, they had pretty funny. I love Ted Ramey's character in the Ash versus Evil Dead show. Right here, man. This scene is just so intense. It's just crazy. Smacking everyone around, throwing Ash like a rag doll. It's just creepy. It's still effective to me to this day. Yeah, this stuff was crazy though when I was a kid. When I first seen this, I was just like jaw on the floor. You know, one of those John Carpenter to the Thing reactions where you're just like, whoa, like such an intense scene. Very well done. And yeah, like some of the effects don't hold up the greatest. Like right here, you can clearly tell it's a dummy. But like I said, it adds to it, man. It's fun. It's pure fun. But just the pencil and the ankle, like, oh my god, dude, that's just brutal. Just really well done. I mean, I'm just like stalling watching this. Great stuff. No, I met Hercules and Xena. The Evil Dead crew had a huge involvement in those shows. Oh, I did. I don't even know about those. I think Sam Raimi was the showrunner. Yeah, I didn't see any of those. Um, I'm also pretty familiar with Scott Spiegel. I know he would go on to work with, I think, Evil Dead 2. Was Scott Spiegel involved in this movie? I know Rob Tappert was, but I don't see Scott Spiegel's name anywhere on Evil Dead 1. But I'm trying to see, did he write it? No, it was written by Sam Raimi. I don't think Scott Spiegel was involved in the first Evil Dead, but he was involved in Evil Dead 2. And I'm also a pretty big fan of Scott Spiegel. I like From Dusk Till Dawn 2 a lot. Intruder, Scott Spiegel, another great mind to come from, the Evil Dead crew. And it's just this too, man. This is still creepy, but the scene of the POV of her under the cellar. Why is she making those awful noises? I don't know. I love it. It is creepy. It's eerie. And you really feel the doom setting in on this people. Like this cabin, these people are just doomed. There is no escape. The woods are alive. The bridge is destroyed. And there are these possessed people in the house and then the cabin with them. Like, there's just it's it's one of those movies that has dread to it. It has doom to it, but in a good way. It doesn't make it depressing. Yeah, pencil stabs. Oh man, that's just yeah. It still looks pretty gross even today, man. And I think that they achieved these POV shots of the Evil Dead force, the evil force. Pretty sure they customized and built this on their own. I think it may have been a stick. But I think it's called the Ramo cam right here where it breaks through the window. Yeah, the Ramo cam. Boom. Right through the window. Pretty cool looking shot. And I think that also this first movie does a great job at building suspense. Like the basement scene where Ash is looking for Scott, it's pretty creepy. It's just like right now it's dead silent in the movie. It's just Scott slowly creeping around. And in most horror films, it doesn't work. In most horror films, that looks boring. It's just not interesting. But they made it effective in this movie, where it's just that slow build up and reveal of the shower curtain, and then putting it back, and then boom, claws to the face. But yeah, Kelly, it was not easy to rank that. It's never easy. Some days I like Evil Dead 2 more. Some days I'll like the remake, not the most, but like over Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. But here recently, for the past few years, it's been the same. It's Evil Dead 1, Evil Dead 2, the remake, and then Army of Darkness. But like I said, I love those movies so much. So you can really rank them in any order. Really effective stuff here, though. So, what about you guys? What is your guys' thoughts on Evil Dead Rise? Are you guys looking forward to it? You guys going to watch it in theaters? It's going to be on HBO Max, or my bad, it's Max now. It's going to be on Max eventually. So, are you guys going to watch it? Or are you guys going to check it out? And what is going on with the wall in this scene? Like, they're in the bathroom right now, and it is mustard yellow walls. Like, literally, there's yellow. I don't even know what that is. It's not even wallpaper. It's just literally plastic sheets pinned to a wall. I don't even know what the hell that was, but I've never even noticed that till now. It's like just yellow sheets on the wall. I don't even know what the heck that was. And another really crazy sequence right here is, Shelly is possessed. Thank you for saving my flesh, burning on those hot coals. Crazy scene, man. Just nuts. Is that Ben Grimm? Hey, yo, what's up? How's it going, Ben? We're watching Evil Dead 1 and 2 right now. Actually, we've made it. Believe it or not, guys, we are past halfway through Evil Dead. We are almost, 50 minutes into this movie. I don't know why I keep skipping ahead. So we're almost 45 minutes in, okay? Not 50. I'm trying to speed it up for some reason, but we're at almost 45 minutes into this movie. And I also really enjoyed this scene. This one also freaked me out as a kid, just watching her get her wrist cut, and then she bites her hand off the rest of the way through and just lets out this goddamn like 3 minute scream. This just guttural hell scream. And it's just so like piercing. And as a kid, it bothered me when she started to bite through her arm. I was just like, oh my god, like oh Jesus type of thing. Like it bothered me. It's just it's still nasty, man. This is a nasty, gory movie, man. It really is. Off with your hand. Like, listen to this. I'm pretty sure y'all can hear that. I'm gonna let you guys hear the scream real quick and hear how crazy this is. Listen to this shit. Like, that is insane. That is insane. And the cool thing about this first Evil Dead movie is that we're still not totally sure about the rules of the Deadites yet. Like, right here you think it's dead, but in reality, the only way to kill the Deadites is to dismember them and to get them in little pieces, basically. And even then, you're only killing the physical form of the Deadites. You're not really, killing the demons at all. But it's funny enough because I know John Grande was just here. I think he's still here. I'm not sure. But Strange Dog comic stuff. What's up, man? How you doing? We're watching Evil Dead. Have you seen the Bollywood remake of Evil Dead? No, I have not. And I think there's a Japanese movie called Evil Dead, like a Japanese Evil. I'm not sure. Evil Dead Trap. It's called Evil Dead Trap from Japan, or I don't remember. I think it's from maybe Japan. But no, I have not seen the Bollywood Evil Dead. Is it good? There's actually a theater near me that shows the stage play, the musical for Evil Dead. All I can say about Rise is don't fuck it up. This is pretty much a perfect franchise so far. Yeah, I totally agree. It's gonna be hard to mess up Evil Dead. Like, if I walk out of Evil Dead Rise and I'm as mad as I was walking out of Scream 6, like, I'll be surprised. I'll be honest. I'll be surprised because, I'm giving Evil Dead Rise a fair shot. And I'm not one of those people who are going to go into it expecting the first movie or expecting it to be this masterpiece of gore, this masterpiece of horror filmmaking. I just want to see some gore, some blood, some halfway decent characters, some halfway decent writing, and above all, entertainment. Entertainment. If it's entertaining and well done, I'll love it. But if it's just a cheap money grab, not even trying to put no effort into a type of film, because there's plenty of examples of both sides of that. Yeah, I've never even heard of that before. Ben, I'll check it out. Yeah, the stage play is insane. yeah, man. They have it playing like all the time near me. Like, I always drive past that theater, and it always has, like, especially around, of course, October, Halloween season. They have really any time. I don't even remember if it was October, but it was just, I remember always seeing the Evil Dead musical playing there, so it's pretty cool. Just so crazy to me that Evil Dead started out as a low budget independent film, not even $1 million. I don't even think it was $1 million to make this movie. And ended up spawning video games and just, crazy cool special editions. Has a whole fan base that loves these movies, including me. And it's cool. It's really cool. It's cool to see a movie go from basically rags to riches. It's pretty cool seeing it grow. But right now, it's just, like I said, we're still not even sure if Ash is the main lead until Scotty leaves and goes out into the forest right now. He's basically fed up. He wants to go and find his own way out. And now it's time for Ash to be by himself in the cabin. This is my favorite part of this movie, is when Ash is just isolated. He's by himself. It's him and the Deadites. And he's being tortured. He's being driven to insanity. He's smacking up his girlfriend like a freaking maniac. Yeah, and I thought John Grande made a good point in Day of the Dead. I think Day of the Dead should be a stage play. I don't know about a musical. You imagine that as a musical? Fucking Captain Rhodes over here, like, you know, I'm tired of this monkey crap, Frankenstein. You're gonna know who the fuck's in charge. I don't know, man. That'd be crazy. A musical Day of the Dead. I also think a stage play of Night of the Living Dead would work a lot. I don't know. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe Night of the Living Dead is a stage play. I'm not sure, but it would totally work as one, and anybody could make a stage play of that. But this part is just like so. I feel so bad for Scotty. He's all messed up. The Deadites could kill Ash right here, technically. I mean, he's done with 2 Deadites, about to be 3. You know, Linda could kill Ash right here, but she doesn't even try to. That's what makes it scary, is like she doesn't even try to. John, what is up? How you doing, John? Yeah, Toxic Avenger, Beetlejuice, Shrek. That's one of my favorites, is the Shrek one. But Toxic Avenger, I heard about that one. I got to see that one. Got to see a lot of those musicals, but the Shrek one was pretty good. How you doing, John? We are watching the classic The Evil Dead right now, and then right after this, we're gonna be popping in Evil Dead 2. We're gonna be having double feature watch along tonight. So hope you guys got your drinks, your popcorn, your snacks, your barf bags are ready to go. John, what's your thoughts on Evil Dead Rise? Because I know I've heard from everybody else so far about that, but you just got here. What's your thoughts on Evil Dead Rise? Are you gonna go see it in the theater? Are you gonna see it when it comes out? Are you looking forward to it? The classic, "We're gonna get you. We're gonna get you." All right. Right here. This is insane. Oh my God. Smacking and hitting the shit out of Linda. Like, Jesus, man. This is great right here. He tries to kill Linda. She goes back to a human. He can't do it. Can't do it. And this is just, you feel so bad for Ash, man. You feel so goddamn bad for him because he goes through this shit in the first movie, survives it, and then he goes through everything in part 2 the night after. So it's like, God damn. And then he gets trapped in time. Then he fixes things. But then, out of his own stupidity, summons the demons back and ruins everything again. He just, man, you feel so bad. Why are you torturing me like this? Why? He just, God, poor guy. Bub needs to solos the main event one. Main one. Why did I say main event? Think about wrestling. Main one and reprise. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, John, purpose, dude, avoid those trailers, man. Avoid those trailers. Because honestly, they have a lot they have a lot of spoilers and stuff in it. So I would definitely avoid those trailers. I only watched one and they released like 5 other ones. So I'm like, you know what? I'm good. Y'all spoiled some stuff for me and I'm really like angry about it. So kind of just try to go into I'm just gonna try to not watch certain trailers, like horror trailers from now on. Or if I am gonna watch just the teasers, where they don't spoil anything.
Why are you torturing me like this?
Why? Why are you torturing me like this? Why? And actually, John, Kelly, Trench, I know you guys are in the chat. If you guys want to join me, if you want to join us, if you guys want to join me on the commentary up here in the panel for Evil Dead 2, just let me know and I'll get that link out to you guys. We can hang out and watch Evil Dead 2. Because I'll be honest, I'll nothing be able to pull off two commentaries. It's a lot of talking. I'm definitely gonna have to have an intermission between these. You know, gotta go get some water after this one. But if you guys want to hang out and on the panel and watch Evil Dead 2, just let me know. Kudos to this actress for being drugged on the ground. I think she said that she had scrapes all over her because of that. Just being drugged through the ground, through the sticks, bumping her head. Like, kudos to that actress because that is an insane shot to pull off. And right here, man, Ash is just trying to do the best he can. He's just trying to give his friend some water. His friend is done. His friend's gone. He's gone, Ash. You can stop pouring the water. He's not there. Stop pouring the water, damn it. And this is when it sets in, man. Ash is alone. It's him versus the evil. And the movie, it has that sense of, like I said, doom to it, where it's like there's no way out of this. The only thing Ash can do is try to survive the night the best he can. Oh, right in the arm. And like I said, the Deadites could have killed Ash long before this. Like, Ash could have been dead like an hour ago, but they just want to torture him. They want to see how much. It's almost like as if Ash was chosen to see if they could put him through all this torture and see if he can still survive. Dude, that would be so cool to have a Day of the Dead musical. Freaking Captain Rhodes over here just singing all of his dialogue. They're fucking dead and you want to train them. Oh, cool, Colton. Dang. Thanks for sticking it out, man. We're still here too, man. No access. Try to see if you can find it on YouTube, Trench, because it might Evil Dead 2 might be on YouTube. I'm not sure. Or maybe Tubi. Is it really not available anywhere? I'm surprised it's not. Ash is the king, yeah. He's the king. And yeah, I mean, Ash is just being pushed to the brink of insanity. I mean, he's just his girlfriend is now dead. His friend, Scott is dead. All of his friends are just dead. and he's just having to still deal with his girlfriend. She's not totally dead, and you still got to worry about Cheryl and Scotty later on. And I'm not really sure how Sam Raimi shot this part, the chainsaw scene, but I love the way it looks. It's so unique, where it's just a real quick shots. He was chaining the body down, pulling the chains and getting the chainsaw, and it really interesting the way he shot this. And it's funny because they used the chainsaw a lot. And Hellbound's here. What's up, man? How you doing, Hellbound? Watching the classic Evil Dead. It's anime day. What's your favorite anime? My favorite anime, I've always gone to Naruto, but I also love Dragon Ball. Like, to me, it's Dragon Ball and Naruto. I know some people would say that's a very basic answer, man, but I'm a basic guy, I guess. I'm easy to please. I like Naruto the best and Dragon Ball. The water. He can't live without the water. I know. Ash just desperately like, drink the water, man. Maybe you'll come back to life. It's showing Evil Dead 2 live in my area at the end of the month. He's doing trivia as well. That's great. Yeah, that's totally awesome. Yeah, I know that there was a crazy interaction recently where there was a showing of Evil Dead Rise, I think, and a fan like stood up and was like, "This movie sucks," and was like insulting Sam Raimi, and Bruce Campbell were right there on stage, and he was like, "This movie sucks." So that's definitely not a very good sign for the new movie. If a person is literally right there with Bruce Campbell and them, and he's just like, "This movie sucks," it's kind of a bad sign. Bad sign, but we'll see. And here's another classic scene where it's the eye games, where it's like we set up before earlier in the movie, but now Linda is playing the games with Ash. Very well done. Yeah, it was at South by Southwest. That dude is a douchebag. He kicked the dude out. Yeah, I know. It. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you have an opinion about a film, obviously you have the right to share it. But to straight up with the filmmakers right there stand up and say the movie fucking sucked, it's like, you know, that's uncalled for. That's rude, and yeah, that's a dick move. Like, no right to do that, and it's uncalled for. This is what I mean. These slow build-ups of Ash burying his girlfriend, and for it to all basically be for nothing because she ends up coming back to life a few moments later. And another one of my favorite scenes. It's the graveyard, while the makeshift sort of little cemetery area. She comes back. We are about an hour and 4 minutes in. We are nearing the end of Evil Dead 1. And it's been a fun time watching it again. Like I said, I've watched Evil Dead so many times. Oh my god. She's alive! Holy shit, man! She's alive! He did kill her, man! And just that wincing shot of her clawing away at Ash's leg. Just, oh man. And apparently, this shot right here of her being hit with the wooden beam, Apparently, it really hurt because it was made out of foam, but the center of it was like a pipe, like a PVC pipe in the middle of it. So it was she was still getting hit with a pretty solid object here, and yeah, Ash is just going to town, just beating her with this wooden beam. And apparently, that really hurt. And she's also blind here too because the contacts. And apparently it was hell because the contacts. If you got like one thing of dirt in the contacts, it would be painful. Just I feel, dude. It's a movie, man. Where there goes the head. It's a movie where you hear about the making of it, and you're just like, what? Just everybody was cold. The blood they were using was like, I think like corn syrup, and it just man, really brutal stuff. Yeah, definitely can't believe what they went through. And I know that Evil Dead 2, that was like a big thing they stressed with Evil Dead 2 was, hey, like, let's actually prep this the right way. Let's actually plan this out. Let's actually do this the film way and not try to, just wing it, basically. So they were able to really. It was apparently a way better shoot on Evil Dead 2, and it was pretty fun. Still chaotic, but it was a lot better than Evil Dead 1. And there are little things in this movie that make it real different. Like I said, like the chainsaw, you figured it'd be a big part of the movie, but the chainsaw was only used in one scene, and it's not even. It doesn't really get used for anything. It's just in one scene. And the shotgun in this is a single barrel shotgun instead of a double barrel shotgun. So little things like that stick out in this first movie. And we're coming up on this shot right here, which I think hasn't aged the greatest when it comes to the effects. Um, blows just a chunk out of her, though. That was a crazy shot. But this right here, the shot, apparently they didn't have the actress there. So they ended up putting the makeup on a crew member. And you can clearly tell it's not her. But then right here you can tell it is. So it's really strange how that happened. And that doesn't really hold up. And honestly, this shot right here, I guess you can see the blood tube in the face. But when I was a kid, I always thought it was like a shotgun shell that got lodged, or a shotgun, like maybe something from the shotgun got lodged in her face. And that's what it was. I always thought that's what that was. So, and also the music ramps up at this very ending too, and just a lot of insanity. I mean, walls bleeding, light bulbs bleeding and busting open, and a projector just having blood drip on it, and everything's red. One of the greatest third acts, in my opinion, in horror history. And it goes to show more of the powers of the demons. Because in this movie, I don't think it's referred to as Deadites. And also, it's not the Necronomicon, it's something else. Natramon de Monto or something like that, which is the Book of the Dead in this movie. And there goes a pipe full of blood. Insane. But it just goes to show the power of the demons in this movie. Just they can manipulate reality. They can, maybe the more powerful they get, they're able to do this insane stuff with their power. And right here is this crazy scene with some stop motion of the music playing that dun 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 dun. Great stuff right here. And this is sort of the moment where Ash makes his final stand. You know, he's had enough. He went to the basement, got his shotgun shells ready, he's covered in blood, and he's just ready to fight back. And oh my God, guys, like I said, we are coming up on, in my opinion, one of the greatest horror third acts of all time. I love the cinematography in the scene. It's so well done in this sequence. A shot from above where it's just going through the different beams. It's just like whoom, whoom, whoom. Or a shot just going from up above to like down right in front of his face. Just great stuff, man. Brilliant stuff. There's a reason why this movie still holds up, and I would love to see this movie in the drive-ins. Like, imagine Evil Dead 1 and 2 a double feature at a drive-in, man. That'd be so cool. I know during COVID, there's a drive-in near me that when COVID was happening, the pandemic and everything, um, that they were showing classic horror films there, and I would have loved to go there and watch some movies. I didn't get a chance to though. And yeah, I mean, just the angles, the tilted camera angles, the weird cinematography. You know that Ash is losing it right now. It's his insanity, including with the influence of the demons. You know, it's just it's becoming really crazy. I mean, the thing about Evil Dead 1 is that it is a lot more about interpretation. You don't know all the rules for the Deadites yet. You know, you're kind of wondering, like, okay, um, so what are the Deadites, the demons, what are their goals? Like, obviously, I guess it's to get them all killed, but, are they collecting these souls? Is it some kind of sacrifice? Or is it just, they're literally just trying to kill them? And I think it works. And just this mystique of, how do you stop these demons? How do you stop demons? And it's crazy shot him reaching into the mirror and it becoming water. Cool stuff, man. Really neat. Practical too. Like, you won't see a lot of practical, like, I do miss a lot of the classic horror films being more practical and finding ways to do it like this. And just the tension in the scene. Ash is just a nervous wreck. He's terrified, trying to calm himself down. I mean, Bruce Campbell's a great actor. And this is a really cool moment where he looks at the necklace he had given as a gift to Linda. Sort of gives him his motivation, and that comes back later in Evil Dead 2. And then it kind of gets forgotten about, but it was really cool how he was able to use the necklace to unpossess himself or to calm himself down. And ultimately, the necklace ends up saving Ash's life later in the movie. Great jump scare, very effective. Um, Made me jump when I first seen it. Yeah, and like right here, you can see the blood tube just squirting the blood. But when I was a kid, I thought that was like a bullet or something that got stuck in her face. I was always like, "Ooh, what the hell?" Boom! Scott is possessed. Oh my god, what a good scene! And I love the makeup on Scott's face, just the look of the possessed Scott. And right here, we get an eye gouge, which is insanely gory. He pulls the stick out, and it just says gallons and gallons and gallons of blood just dumping. And you do kind of wonder because they burned the Book of the Dead in the first Evil Dead movie. So I always kind of wondered, okay, so if they burn the Book of the Dead, then how does the Book of the Dead come back in the future movies? Which I guess, in Evil Dead 2, it's not really the book, it's more of the lost pages. But the Book of the Dead comes back. I'm pretty sure the Book of the Dead comes back eventually in the series. It's kind of like, okay, how does that happen? It was burned in the first movie. And also, if you're ever watching Evil Dead, the first one, I think pretty much all of the DVDs and Blu-rays have the commentary with Bruce Campbell, which is a really informative and funny commentary. All the commentaries are good on the Evil Dead stuff. Like Evil Dead 2 has a wonderful commentary with all the makeup guys, and I think a commentary with Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi, and maybe Rob Tapper. I think, or maybe it's Scott Spiegel, Rob Tapper. I don't know. This is a really fun group of commentaries. Some of my favorite commentaries are from these movies. Very epic scene right here. The very end of the movie where they're just starting to melt, basically, and disintegrate. And we've made it to the ending of Evil Dead 1. It's not over quite yet, but it's pretty much getting there. He's burned the Book of the Dead. And the stop motion of the Deadites falling apart, looking all nasty. There is the theory saying that Ash just stuck in a time loop in the first and second one. That could work. That could work because the thing about Evil Dead 2, if you want to count Evil Dead 2, is you got to kind of suspend your disbelief for a little bit because Evil Dead 2 changes a lot of stuff from the first movie. I mean, it not only does it have like an opening where they pretty much retcon the first movie, but also the Book of the Dead is different. The cabin looks different. But I end up believing it. I end up just kind of making it work. It doesn't really bother me too much. Is that some applesauce? It looks like applesauce, maybe oatmeal. And I think even right here, they were just using like eggs and oatmeal and just all kinds of food and stuff to make these like gross effects, really gross effects. And Ash just getting smacked in the face with blood like 5 times in this damn movie. Right here. Just the head splatting, brains flying everywhere. Uh, The blood keeps hitting them right. Poor guy. Poor Ash. And yeah, just nasty, like bugs and cockroaches and worms and just bloods. It's just, man, nasty, nasty ending. And I kind of wonder what happened to the cabin from the first Evil Dead movie, because I think it burned to the ground eventually or something. I think it did burn to the ground. But did they clean this cabin out? Because there's blood literally everywhere in the end of this movie. But I wonder if they ended up cleaning the cabin out, or if they, just left everything. I don't know. If they left everything there, it'd probably look like a murder scene or something. So I'm assuming they did, like, clean up the cabin. But I just feel so bad because, like, there's blood all over the walls, all over the floor. Like, damn. That must have been, like, insane to clean up. And I always thought this ending was pretty well shot. The sun coming through, the music. I forgot to mention, I love the music in this first movie as well. The Evil Dead movies have always had great music. And I love the piano theme song, the music that's playing during the burial scene right now. I mean, it's a great score as well. All around a great movie. John. Which we know the Book of the Dead can manipulate time because Army of Darkness. Yeah, and that's the way you could probably tie everything together, is by the whole, time loop theory. That's how you can tie it all together. And that's it, guys. That's the journey is over for Evil Dead 1. And the evil force is still around. I'll be honest, the ending is pretty confusing because you're like, well, if the evil is still around, there's technically no way to stop it because they've already burned the book. And that's it. Evil Dead 1. So I'm going to do real quick, guys, is before I fire up Evil Dead 2, I'm going to take a little bit of an intermission break. It won't be too long. It'll be like 5 minutes. And it'll give you guys some time to use the restroom, get some more pop, more beverages, and some, snacks and stuff. I'm going to get some snacks and some drinks. I'm going to go and, get ready for the next movie. But I will be right back. And I will also send out the link to some of the chats. And so if you guys want to watch along with me with Evil Dead 2, you're more than welcome. But we'll be right back, guys. Stay tuned. All right, y'all. So that is it for the intermission. What I'm gonna do is I sent out the link. So I'm gonna wait for a little bit for people to join. If nobody joins, then we're just gonna wing it and keep going on with the commentary. Um, like I said, right now I'm just waiting on some people. But the link is out there if y'all want to join and talk Evil Dead 2 while we're watching it. Um, that'll be really fun. Got some water, which I really needed this because I did the whole commentary without water. And it's just insane. I was like, man, my freaking mouth is like the Sahara Desert, man. But I had the movie pulled up. I'm on this version. I'm 4 seconds in. The warning is right here. This film contains scenes which may be too intense for persons under the age of 17, which I'm pretty sure they did that to avoid an X rating, which they ended up still getting. So it's kind of funny. But yeah, welcome to the Evil Dead 2 section of the video. We're going to get into it here in a minute. I'm going to change the banner. Real quick, because I had that intermission banner still up. Dead by dawn, dead by dawn, dead by dawn. All right. So, while we're waiting on people to come in here, I'm going to start Evil Dead 2. Like I said, I'm about 4 seconds in. And yeah, let's get started. 3, 2, 1, play. And here we go. The journey of Evil Dead 2. Really enough, this is actually a shorter movie than the first film. Which is, you figure since it was a sequel, it had more money. Maybe it'd be like 2 hours long or whatever. But no, for the most part, Evil Dead movies are really short. And I won't lie, it's been a minute since I've seen this one on Blu-ray. It's been a minute. So it's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be pretty cool seeing Evil Dead in high definition. Or Evil Dead 2. It's been a minute. But really enough, I grew up with Evil Dead 1, and I didn't even know it had sequels till later. And I had found Evil Dead 2 because people had brung it up online, and that poster of the skull. I had seen that poster everywhere, and eventually ended up coming across a copy of Evil Dead 2 at Blockbuster. And that's how I seen Evil Dead 2. It wasn't too much longer after the first one. I was about 10 when I seen the first one, about 12 when I seen the sequel. And wow, this looks great in Blu-ray. Honestly, I'll get the Blu-rays of these movies. They look great. But that's how I seen Evil Dead 2 for the first time. And fell in love with the series. Evil Dead 2, to me, is one of the best sequels out there. It follows the first movie, and it just, kind of telling its own story. It's kind of a unique thing where it is a sequel technically to the first Evil Dead, but it's also doing its own thing. So could be looked at as like a sequel, remake type of thing. But I think it's a very well done movie. And I do remember as a kid, though, I don't know if it was just because I was a kid, but I thought the effects looked kind of weird. Like as a kid, I was like, man, everything looks like it's like a puppet or on strings or something. But when you get older and you really just appreciate that. You really appreciate what they were going for, because I was expecting Evil Dead 1, where it's like, straight up horror, straight up scares, trying to be like a serious horror film, and this is more of a horror comedy, and I think it works very well as a horror comedy. And this is where you kind of wonder, like, okay, is this a remake or a rehash of the first movie? Like, what's going on here? And apparently, they were supposed to have the footage from the first movie, but they couldn't get the rights to it. Then they were going to reshoot stuff from the first movie and do a recap, but they ended up not having enough money for that either. So they ended up just condensing it down to Ash and Linda going to the cabin and Linda being possessed, which is still a pretty unique story. Well, pretty unique aspect of the story, at least. And I mean, this movie goes a lot more in depth with the background. You get a lot more characterability in this movie. And I will say, I guess technically it is better at that. It is better at, the effects, the character building, slightly improved writing. So there's definitely things in this sequel that, could be argued to be better than the first movie. That's totally understandable. And right here, pretty much identical book to the first movie. I know in the third one, Army of Darkness, they totally switched the look of the Book of the Dead in that movie. But here, it's not called the Natramon de Monto. It's called the Necronomicon, the Book of the Dead, which I think works a lot better as the Book of the Dead's name. And kind of right here, getting the same vibes of the first movie, where it's just, instead of all of them, it's just one of them. It's Linda. And right here, the way I think about it, I kind of do condense it together as basically the first movie happened, but this is sort of maybe Trenchy's theory helps me look at this a lot better, where this is Ash sort of being put through it all over again, in a way. Either way I look at it, I think it works. And boom, the head comes off right to the camera. Apparently, that took a lot of takes to do. The fakest like that's the thing. This opening to me was always weird because it does look real cheap, and they did shoot it super fast and low key. You can kind of tell because the fucking ground looks like coal. It looks like coal. It doesn't even look like it's ground or gravel or anything like that. I was like, what the hell? But all this is really doing is just trying to get the audience caught up, essentially, in the first movie. This is the same shot, just done with a different looking cabin. Similar cabin, but different. And I love this shot, the Samo cam, they call it, where it's just Bruce Campbell being pushed through the trees, spinning around and around. What a neat, cool idea. And very cool looking. And yeah, I mean, by this time, Sam Raimi had became more of a seasoned director. He had been spending some time in Hollywood, writing stuff, directing things here and there, um, and was able to definitely sharpen his skills. I mean, this movie is very, very well shot. It looks fantastic. It looks like it cost a bit more to make this one than the first movie. I think it did have a bigger budget, but it was still pretty low. Still pretty low. It's a pretty cool idea of the evil being summoned away by the light. The daylight is what makes the entity go away. That's pretty cool. Yeah, like this the time loop theory. You can think how many times has he gone through the loop before the new people enter the cabin. Yeah, it's a really cool idea. It's like Ash is almost put into a hell, and this hell is him constantly having to fight to survive the Deadites. Which is funny because even though Evil Dead 1 gets praise and Evil Dead 1 started everything, Evil Dead 2 is looked at as the glossary. That's where people go back and they pick up the things like the Deadites, the Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon. Um, this is where we get the Chainsaw Hand. So that's where that gets brung up. And so pretty much all of the main lore is from Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead 1 is more of like just the idea of the possession. This one introduces the Deadites, the backstory, the missing pages, the incantations, the new name of the book, the more of the powers of the Deadites. And even though I like the first movie more, this is a sequel that does do the whole, more improved version of the first movie. It fixes a lot of problems. But to me, the problems in the first movie are part of its charm. And usually, when people talk about Evil Dead, they refer to Evil Dead 2's style, where it's more of the comedy horror, which I love that. But, there is two distinct styles to Evil Dead. There's the straight up horror elements, and then there's the horror comedy elements. And I'm much more of a fan of the first movie's serious horror approach versus the horror comedy. But I still love that. I just think that that's what kind of people go to. They think of Evil Dead, think of comedy gore type of stuff, which is cool. It works. And this is a really, really awesome shot of this demon face as the cabin, join us. Really cool looking shot there. And I really do think that this film, has some pretty cool looking scenes that are really ambitious. This is definitely a much more ambitious movie, a film to take more risks with. And it's a film that, like I said, it's just trying to be bigger and badder in every way. The effects, the acting, the cast, the camera work, the budget, the writing. And on this movie, you have the infamous KMB effects team. And it's really cool, man, because when I was a kid, I had the DVD of Evil Dead 2, and the DVD had a making of, and it had behind the scenes footage, and I was introduced to KMB through that. And they seemed like such cool guys, really fun, funny, hilarious. So that's how I got introduced to KMB was the Evil Dead 2 special features. And they seemed like fun, cool, passionate fans of the horror genre. And I must say they did wonderful work on Evil Dead 2 special effects. And I'm assuming by this time they added an actual dolly. And the Evil Dead, the force, the evil force, charging towards Ash, and this scene is so intense and it's so well done. And like I said, I'm assuming that they had actually had, a full on dolly for this. And I think that's another cool thing in this movie is that you're able to finally see the reveal of the evil force and what it looks like. Ouch, right to the windshield. And time loops don't have to be exactly the same. You can have so many different versions of the same events. Also, 2 gives us the boomstick before it got its name. Yeah, the Evil Dead 2, it builds so much on the lore. It builds so much on the world of Evil Dead. And a lot of people go back to this movie. Like, they love the first movie. They go back to this movie and they refer to this movie, oh, that's the movie where the guy has the chainsaw hand. And it's funny because when I was a kid and I was watching Evil Dead 1, somebody was like, oh, the movie where the guy has a chainsaw for a hand. And I was like, what? That's so cool. What movie is that? They're like, Evil Dead. And I'm like, what? Like, that's not Evil Dead. Evil Dead doesn't, I mean, it has a chainsaw, but doesn't have him put on his hand or anything. And then when I seen this movie, I was like, oh, it was this movie everybody was talking about, Evil Dead 2. And yeah, that's like one of the greatest scenes in horror film history is the chainsaw hand. I love that scene so much. And this movie, for being a sequel, had the daunting task of having to be on the iconic level of the first movie. And if we're thinking about it, it really is one of the best sequels of all time because it does that. It finds ways to be a sequel, be a follow up, be its own unique thing. Meanwhile, at the same time, following the first movie, still building upon the characters like Ash, and it does what a sequel should do. It follows the first movie. Some may say not very well, but I think it's passable. Um, I think it's passable. But the new things it introduce is so interesting and so fresh and new. And I think it's, like I said, just really well done. And it just feels like this movie is just a much bigger film, a much more like, you actually have like scenes outside of the woods. Right here, this airport scene, we're meeting these characters. I think it's Ed, and then you have, I think, Sarah Berry as Annie. Great characters. Also, later on in the movie, you're gonna have the great Bobby Joe, and you're also gonna have the great I forgot his Dan Hicks. Dan Hicks playing a really cool, like a really over the top character. This backwoods, hillbilly type. Bobby Joe, where are you, girl? This is good stuff. Nate, what's your timestamp? I will get you a timestamp. I also sent the link out to y'all in the chat, so if y'all want to come in here and watch it with me and chat, that's totally fine. I'm at 16 minutes and 9 seconds. So about 16 minutes, 17 if you want to kind of be a little bit ahead. But I don't know. Are you watching it? But yeah, man, Evil Dead 2. This is a movie that I'm just surprised I didn't hear more about because, like I said, I thought Evil Dead 1 ended with Ash dying, basically. Like, I thought it was over. That was it. Very bleak. And no, it ended up having this. And seeing this movie was such a surprise at just how bonkers crazy it was. And I like this. This is a callback to the first movie where he's looking at the necklace and it's making him sad. I like how they're able to do a callback to the first movie and also, make it their own thing. because and Ash uses that necklace as a source of strength. You know, he uses it to get unpossessed. Uh, he uses it to sort of get refocused in the first movie. And right here, Trenchy is your favorite. I'm assuming this is your favorite scene, which I remember when I was a kid and I seen this dude. It is hilariously over the top. Just the scene of the headless Linda corpse, claymation, and the head rolling right back to her. You know, it's a really bizarre scene. And this just sets the tone, man. It sets the tone as, you know, we're not taking it so seriously. You know, let's have a fun time, tongue in cheek. We know it's ridiculous, but we're going to have a blast doing this. And it makes it a fun, you know. Okay. All right, that's cool. So have you made it where, because are you on the part where the dancing Linda corpse? Because that's what I just seen. But yeah, what a just like I said, a tone setter, you know, for the movie. And then Ash in this movie gets beat up even more, just getting his head freaking smacked against the wood. Ash goes just through hell in this movie too. Right after the first movie, goes through this and is going through hell. And right now we're getting a lot of what you seen in the first movie, where it was just, you know, him alone in the cabin and the cabin playing tricks on him, and these crazy shots and angles. And it's done even more in this movie, and that's why I love it, because it's done even more. And that's some of my favorite stuff, is when Ash is by himself in the cabin. Hello, lover. And I dig the makeup in this movie for the Deadites. I don't know if it's like my favorite. I don't know. Just the first movie, I like the look of the Deadites in that movie. I like the way they look, the design. Some call it cheap. I think it looks great. I like the Deadite designs in this movie, particularly the evil, the, you know, Deadite Ed, the Ed that the I think it's the Ed character, when he gets possessed and he has just rows of teeth that go back. You know, that's a really crazy looking design. And of course, the classic Henrietta design. Still some good looking Deadite designs in this movie. But that's the cool thing too, is that this movie has Deadites, but it also has so much more going on. I mean, possessed hands, you know, angles, just crazy angles. If you look up in the corner there, you can see the Freddy glove. Yeah, that's crazy. That's a crazy scene, man. Chainsaw. Where's the chainsaw? You're going down. Yeah, very surprising scene. Really, really hokey and goofy looking though, where the little puppet, the puppet of Linda, comes in with the chainsaw and it's just chasing Ash. Hilarious scene, very over the top and crazy. And I know when they were making this movie, like you can clearly see the chainsaw right here, just bending and breaking. Like it's not even, it's like a cardboard chainsaw. It's just so over the top. But I know when they were making this movie, that was one part where it was like, guys, this isn't really scary. But then they kind of like clicked. They were like, oh, Sam Raimi's not really trying to go for total scares in this movie. It's much more of this wild, crazy adventure. Even now, we have your darling Linda's soul. She suffers in torment. Really graphic idea of Ash just taking the chainsaw, finally having the will to, you know, to take out Linda. He wasn't able to do that in the first movie. He kind of struggled with it in this movie, but he was finally able to put to rest Linda. A very brutal scene. And this movie does have a different style to it as well. Like the first movie has more of that, grimy, just gritty look to it. While this movie is very well shot, very well lit, looks great, has a lot of time put into the camera work and everything and the direction. The first movie was too, but the first movie was just, had that low budget look to it. This one just looks great. And right here you have the rocking chair scene, which is nuts. Just him go up to the rocking chair. The chair stops. He just kind of goes like, "Oh, whoa, okay, buddy, I'm not trying to bother you." He's just losing his marbles in this scene. And I think we're coming up on the part where he's just laughing into the camera. I love his reaction when the chair kind of just stops rocking. He's like, "Hey, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to offend you." Another mirror scene coming up too. Another classic mirror scene. Hey, I didn't mean to. He's just even realizing, he's like, I gotta get a hold of myself. We just cut up our girlfriend with a chainsaw. Does that sound fine? Very well done. I'm assuming that shot was pretty hard to do as well, but they pulled it off very, very well. We just cut up our girlfriend with a chainsaw. Does that sound fine? And I'm kind of wondering right here, is this the evil influence of the force, the evil force? Or is this just plainly Ash losing his freaking mind? What do you guys think? Is this just Ash going crazy? Or is it really the evil influence of the demon? And Ash's hand got bit, so of course it becomes infected, and now it's this possessed hand, which is another classic element of this movie. I mean, everybody remembers the possessed hand, and for good reason. I mean, it's very well used for both comedy and horror, but for mainly comedy. And yeah, that's just really, it's a really bizarre idea. It just works. It totally works. And it's a very memorable thing from this movie. Give me back my... I'm going to be quoting this movie all night, so I'm just letting y'all know if I quote this movie and it's getting annoying, just let me know and I'll stop. But it's one of those movies, man. It's one of those films where I can just quote it for days, just memorable. Give me back my hand. This is like a dramatic movie too, where it's not like dread like the first movie, but it's trying to be this really dramatic, like dun 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 type of thing. Whereas the first movie is trying to be that real doom, like, hey, there's not a clear way out of this. Everyone's dead. Ash is alive, but he's hanging in there by a thread. And he doesn't really know how to stop the evil force. This one has those really dramatic moments, like even later on when the hand is chopped off and it ends up holding Bobby Joe's hand and she freaks out. The music kicks in, it gets real suspenseful.
I will say, if I do have any nitpicks, I do think the matte paintings don't look the greatest in this movie. Um, I mean, it's a nitpick. I don't hate it. It's not a bad thing to me. But the matte paintings are very obvious in this movie, more obvious than probably even in the first movie. I don't even know if they had matte paintings in the first movie, but like right here, this shot of the bridge broken, you know, it just you can tell it's a matte painting. It's just but it is what it is. It doesn't bother me at all. Like I said, nitpick. Of course, he's thinking like, oh, a bag, that little bag over there. Sure, you got a deal. He doesn't realize he has a whole freaking trunk he has to carry through the woods. And just like I said, rest in peace to Dan Hicks. Great actor, great guy. Like I've seen interviews with him, and he just seems like a great dude. But yeah, in all of the interviews that I've seen of Dan Hicks, he always seemed like a really cool guy. And I thought he did a pretty good job in the Intruder movie, that Intruder film. Oh my god, just busting the plates all over his head. You could clearly see too. It's like not even. It's like porcelain. Not. It's like I forget what that material is called, but it's like it just breaks instantly. Is it porcelain? It might be porcelain. I'm not sure. I know I've made like pottery and stuff from that. I just don't remember like what the material is called. Have you heard the Bobby Joe song by? No, I haven't. Evil Dead 2 is where my dark humor side develops from. It's kind of horror comedy. Yeah. And I mean, this Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, really, that's another Part 2, and American Werewolf in London showed me that you could, because, like I said, these are some of the first horror films I've seen. So they showed me that you can have both horror and comedy and have it work. And this is some of the rare shots of red blood that you'll see in this movie of Ash cutting his hand off, because I know they tried to avoid getting an X rating, which happened anyways. So they end up still getting an X rating somehow, but they tried to use different colored blood. They used yellow, black, green blood, blue blood, just trying to get past the ratings issue. Which, to be honest, this movie is not even. I mean, it's violent. It's got some gore, but it's not the goriest. It really isn't. Evil Dead 2, not the goriest movie, if you think about it. It's really not. It's not as gory as the first movie. And they had shot some stuff that was going to be more gorier. Like Ed, when he gets chopped, like when his head gets chopped, you see that. You see like the brain and everything in there. And you see Ash chop him to pieces. They just never released that. And it's interesting. And this is an Evil Dead movie that's really not. It's really not that bloody and gory. If you think about it. But I think it doesn't really need the gore. I mean, it kind of, works on its own in a way. It does. It kind of works on its own. It kind of works and has its own style to it. And I think sometime next week, I'm gonna try and get a stream set up where we're gonna watch Army of Darkness and then the Evil Dead remake. I'm gonna try and get that set up. I want to, but we'll see. Because I really want to watch Army of Darkness and Evil Dead, the remake again. Like I said, to prep for the Evil Dead Rise movie. And the severed hands right now just playing games with Ash, flipping him the bird. Classic stuff, man. You son of a. Oh, gotcha, didn't I, you little sucker? I mean, 1987, this movie came out. Came out quite a bit of time after the first movie, and gave the filmmakers time to, not rush a story, make a new story, make some new stuff, and really go to town with it. And right here, you have probably one of the more bloodier scenes is when the blood is just shooting through the walls. And even in this scene, the blood changes color. Like I said, they did that to avoid the X rating. But I mean, it came out years later. They had time to prep. 1987 was a pretty good year for horror. I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street 3 comes to mind. I think Blood Rage came out in 87. It's another one of my favorites. And this is a classic scene that everyone talks about where the cabin is laughing at Ash. And I mean, everything, like the lamps, the deer head, the photo, like the paintings on the wall, like they sell it that in this movie, the cabin, the evil force can control the cabin, and that's the question. Like, is it the evil force or is Ash just going crazy? So you're kind of wondering that in the back of your mind, like, is this all in his head or is this really happening? And if it is really happening, that's just how much power this force has over Ash. And you're not really sure, like, if it's, is it them trying to push Ash to his limit? Like, what's the goal for them, What's the goal for the evil force? And this is where our characters meet up with Ash, Bob and Joe, Annie, Ed, and I can't remember Dan Hicks' character's name. I can't remember. But I haven't checked the time stamp yet in the movie, but I'm pretty sure we're almost halfway through already. I mean, like I said, this film just moves at such a good pace, and technically it is shorter than the first movie, which is crazy. But the music in this movie, I don't know if I like it as much as the first movie or even the third or fourth. I'll be honest, it's probably like a score that I like, but I don't love. But the thing I appreciate about it the most is that it's different. It's not the same. The first movie had that real dark synthy type score. And I feel like Army of Darkness had the fantasy score, which matched that movie. And then the Evil Dead remake had like a dubstep, horror dubstep score, which I thought was pretty cool. But in this movie, you have, a bit more of a, orchestra approach, real epic score. Has big moments, especially when Ash gets the chainsaw for a hand. But I don't know if I would say I like it as much as the first movie score or the sequels. But it's a good score, and it's different, it's unique, it fits its own, it fits the movie. And it feels like every time Ash tries to get a little bit ahead, man, he just has bad luck. Has real bad luck. Gets thrown down the cellar, which is another thing. Like, you try to connect this with the first movie. Why is the cellar, why is it clean again? Why does it look completely different? And also, why did Henrietta not show up in the first movie at all, or not mentioned in the first movie at all? And by the way, what happened to the professor? The professor, Annie's dad, Annie's father. Like, I wonder what happened to them. I wonder what happened to her father, because we know that Henrietta got buried in the cellar, but the father we still don't know about. Was he just killed and buried somewhere else? Did the Force kill him and just, I don't know. He just disappeared. They don't really explain where the professor is. I mean, even in the first movie, they don't explain that. Hell, honestly, in every Evil Dead movie, there's no explanation for the professor or the people that were there first and where they went, what happened. And I guess you could say it's more of a mystery, more of a approach where it's more of leaving it up to the interpretation of the audience, not giving you all the answers, type of thing. Which I think definitely has its place in films. I think some movies should explain things, but I think others, doesn't have to, and it works in this movie, not knowing exactly what happened to the professor. And it's a pretty cool idea that they had the professor show up later on in ghost form to point out to these characters, what's happening, and explain to them that, there's this evil force. And, I guess he does sort of lay down the ground rules a bit more. There is a bit more of the ground rules being laid down in this movie than the first one. I buried her in the earth of the floor of the fruit cellar. Oh, shit! There she is. Ted Raimi as Henrietta. Apparently, he was just sweating for days in that. There's just really nasty videos of behind the scenes where he's just got sweat dumping, like dumping and pouring out of that suit. And man, good God, he got put through hell. Kind of on purpose too. Like, Sam Raimi does that, where he'll pick on his cast and he'll put him through hell sometimes, in more of a fun way. Not literally trying to make their lives miserable, but more of like, you'll be all right. I'll swallow your soul. And this scene kind of has the energy of the first movie, where the creature Henrietta is just throwing everybody around. Yeah, one guy steps in, just throws him into a freaking pitcher. Takes, grabs Dan Hicks' face. But here's another crazy scene where the eyeball pops out. Pop. Gulp. Utter insanity. Over the top. Now, that is one clip that I did see before I watched Evil Dead 2, because I was able to find some clips online of Evil Dead 2, because I had no clue, like, what what the film was about. I had no clue there was an Evil Dead 2. And so one of the clips I ended up watching first was the eyeball scene, where the eyeball flies across the room and goes into the mouth of Bobby Joe. Just like I said, it's a really Really, really insane scene. And they actually went in on this Blu-ray and they went and fixed stuff. They CGI'd the ceiling a little bit. So you may still see some shots of the ceiling not being there. And you can literally, the old versions, you can literally see people up above and cords and like equipment and everything, because that's where, you know, it was a soundstage basically. That's where everything was. But in this, they add in CGI, they fix things, they, they go over things and make it more, you know, you're not seeing the mistakes and the accidents. Like the eyeball scene, whereas before you seen the eyeball and the stick, they took the stick out and they erased it, which is pretty cool. They went back and did that. And this is another really crazy sequence that I think works. It's the Ed possession scene. Evil Ed being possessed here. And he's just got this real creepy look to him. I think it's the creepiest Deadite design from this movie is his look. It is really like gross. And that makeup that he put on where the teeth are just rows of teeth. He actually had like real drool coming out because he couldn't close his mouth. It was pretty much pried open for hours while they shot that scene. And so he's just drooling. And so if you see that in the movie, that's real drool. That's like real, actual drool that, it's not like he was just, they put fake drool on him and everything. And I still do have questions about the Deadites possessing people, because what's the rules there? Do they possess weak-willed people, weak-minded people? Do they just choose at random who they possess? And if that's the case, why don't they possess everyone in the cabin? And like, let's say the evil force does kill Ash and kill everybody, what do? Go back to the book? What was it all for? Questions that you could answer, but they don't. And it doesn't really bother me. I think it works a lot better that way. I think you could explain some things, but it works either way. Is basically what I'm trying to get to. It works either way. Yeah. I'm hoping to. What I'm planning on doing, because I'm off work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so I have a lot of time off, and I'm hoping that I can, like Wednesday or Thursday, do a stream where I watch the remake and Army of Darkness. Which, like I said, you guys are more than welcome to join that. I'm gonna be doing that live. If you guys want to join the panel and talk on here while we're watching, that's cool. Either way, it sucks I can't stream that because Army of Darkness I know is owned by Universal. I'm pretty sure it is. So it's like, good luck getting that to stream on here. The only other movies I want to risk that aren't public domain that I want to risk showing on here is Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead, because they've been on YouTube for so long. They've been on YouTube for years, and they haven't been taken down yet. And honestly, if those videos, what I could do is make copies of those videos and do it to where I can edit the movie out of it. Well, I can't do that actually, because if I'm going to have the movie shown, it's going to have the audio playing. Well, we're just going to hope that works, because those are the only other, because I did it for Night of the Living Dead. That's pretty much what I mean, is that Night of the Living Dead, I showed it on here. So I kind of wanted to do a watch along where we're all watching Dawn of the Dead on here live, as well as Day of the Dead, the same thing. And they actually have a cool version of Day of the Dead where it's a VHS cut. It's like a VHS filter over Day of the Dead, which is pretty neat. Hey, yo, it's Brian. What's up, Brian? How you doing? Okay, that's no problem, man. Yeah, I mean, welcome. It's good to see you again. I just figured I would send you the invite to see if you wanted to join or not. But yeah, it's just here watching some Evil Dead 2, man. Evil Dead 1 and 2. Brian, real quick, what's your thoughts on the Evil Dead movies, man? I don't think I've ever asked you about your opinions on the Evil Dead films. And this is such a weird scene where it's like, I'm assuming because they have Ash explain it because like, what the hell's going on? Oh, we're gonna have Ash explain this one, where it's the professor trying to manifest himself to warn these survivors about what's happening. And it's a weird sequence where it's like everything is shot. They use a certain camera or a certain lens. I can't remember how they did it, but they use a certain camera where everything is super narrow and it's like extremely zoomed in. My bad. My freaking phone fell. It's like extremely zoomed in and such a weird looking scene where it's like a shot of the ceiling and, shots of, you know, the deer head. It's just really strange sequence. But this is something new that we've never had, you know, where we see a ghost of the of a former victim of the Deadites, who appears and warns them about the evil forces. And this movie, there's not really a book of the dead. It's more of a, hidden pages type of thing. Like these secret hidden pages that have these incantations on them. I like Evil Dead 2 more. The bigger budget makes it work better and much funnier. Yeah, it's what, most people do say Evil Dead 2 is the best one. Um, and I can say technically, it is a better movie than the first movie. It's just better shot, better effects, better acting in some scenes, better, just it is more planned. It's more thought out. The first movie was made so sporadically, you know, wasn't very planned. This right here, I'm not sure if this effect. I mean, it doesn't look terrible. I don't know if it holds up the greatest, where it's the professor in this makeup, and he's just a floating head, and he's a ghost. I don't know if it works totally, but it doesn't look like CGI or like anything obvious. It just, I don't know, something about it. It kind of seems a little bit silly, but this is Evil Dead 2. I mean, come on. I can't complain about that. It's Evil Dead 2. But yeah, I mean, we never really had that in an Evil Dead movie before, where it's the ghost of one of the victims that have died in the cabin. You're holding my hand tight. I'm not holding your hand. Yeah, see right there, just super dramatic music stopping, music like getting loud and stopping. Where's Bobby Joe? Bobby Joe is out of here. Bobby Joe has left the movie. She ain't gonna get very far though. The woods are alive. They're not as rapey as they were in the first movie, but they're still alive and they're out. They're out to kill. So what do you guys think? Do you think Evil Dead still has a lot of things it can do as far as creativity goes and originality goes, or do you think Evil Dead's sort of done everything it can at this point? And this is actually very well done, where the vines are just dragging her across the ground, and you can see the vines just going through her skin. I mean, just very, very well done. Looks great. I'm assuming that's a stunt double, and that was probably very painful to go through. And it's a cool idea that you have the trees in this movie. They have like faces on them. They look like monsters. Kind of remind me of the trees from Mortal Kombat. Same thing where they have the faces on them. The scene with the projected faces give me Wizard of Oz themes. Yeah. Watching musicians playing open mic live on a YouTube channel called Camp Gme. That's cool, man. What are they playing right now? It's just straight up rock and roll or blues or country or anything like that. They find these pages that literally have Ash on the like. How does he not realize that's him? It's Ash with the chainsaw. And honestly, it looks pretty cheap. It was like somebody drew it with some crayon. I'll be honest. I'll be honest. But and it's a cool idea that we have these pages that will help them summon a portal that will take the evil entity back in time. Now I kind of wonder, is that same incantation in Army of Darkness? And if it is, like let's say in Army of Darkness he did that again. He did it again, he does the incantation again. The portal, would it take them back even farther in time? Or would it be in the future? Like, how does the time travel work? Getting tired. Been rocking out and doing these Evil Dead commentaries for almost 3 hours. Plus, I already had a pretty busy day. I was also watching the Pope's Exorcist earlier. Which, Brian, I don't know if you heard about that one, but it is what it is. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's a possession movie. It's an exorcism movie. It's nothing offensive, but it's definitely nothing special. It's if you guys are wondering about that, it's just if you like exorcism movies, you like possession movies, check it out. I don't know what it's got to take for this guy to realize that going out into the woods is not a good idea. There is just crazy shit happening all around you, and you're like, "We're gonna go look for Baba Joe." It's like, bro, what are you doing? And this guy, oh no, he must be a superhuman because he gets his head driven into a tree to the point to where it fucking breaks. Like this guy should be dead. Again, some cool usages of the miniatures and models used for the trees. I won't lie, that looks great. The usage of the stop motion and the models, the miniatures and stuff, that looks great. I don't know if it was because it was shot at night or they shot it with a night, look to it, but that does look great. And I think Sam Raimi really did step up the atmosphere in this movie. I mean, it's still dark, but it's not so dark where you can't see what's going on. You can see a fair amount of stuff, in the forest and everything. So the lighting, cinematography is definitely a step up in this movie as far as just you're able to see everything, and the atmosphere is definitely a lot more richer. And you think it's going to possess either Dan Hicks or Annie. You don't expect it to possess Bruce Campbell again because it already happened once, and also he's the lead, so it's like, oh, we don't expect that. And I remember when I was a kid and I first seen this, that surprised me. But yeah, he should not be alive after this. If they don't go in the woods, would it be a horror movie? Yeah, right. You got to ask yourself that question. Yeah. Evil Dead 1, yeah, it's great. Lots of acoustic guitars, sometimes electric guitars and singers and pianos. Oh, and pianists, my bad. So what? It's just random songs being played? Like they'll have different artists playing different songs. That's pretty cool. But yeah, Ash being possessed here, which, like I said, you don't expect because, it was the lead and he'd already been possessed earlier. So you're thinking, is it going to be Annie? Is it going to be Dan Hicks? And I will say, I kind of like the look of the dagger in this movie a bit better. It's a bit more designed, properly. The blade, I like the way the blade looks. You mean day for night shooting, like putting a filtered lens on the camera or stopping the aperture of the lens? Uh, well, no, I'm thinking that when they shot the model scenes, the miniatures, that they did it in a dark atmosphere. I mean, it wasn't at night; it was probably in a room somewhere, but it was done in a night atmosphere. So it looks better. I think stop motion does look better in the dark versus in the light, and the model usage and everything looks probably a lot better. And this poor dude gets stabbed with this dagger right in the freaking, I believe, in the lungs. He's like, I can't breathe. And Sarah Berry, she had to really do this in real life. Where I mean, she didn't really stab him, good God, but she had to really drag Dan Hicks over and over and over again from where the door is to the living room. And yeah, that would probably really did suck to do. Once again, the Deadites in this movie are wearing the contacts, the all white contacts, which apparently, you know, once again, couldn't see anything. These actors were completely blind. They were making this movie when they were when they were the Deadites, at least. That's cool, Brian. And I kind of do wish that Annie. Don't, I don't want to spoil it, but Annie dies in this movie, guys. But I kind of wish that Annie didn't die. In reality, looking back on it, I think that's a big problem with the movie. Is like you have Sarah Berry, brand new character Annie, does a lot, strong character, is a fan favorite, one of my favorite characters, and she just dies. That's like a big problem for me. Is like they waste the character basically. And you could say, well, anybody can die in Evil Dead and anything can happen. But I thought it would have been cool if Sarah Berry was left alive. Like, oh my God, I feel so bad for her here. She had to drag Dan Hicks across the floor over and over again. And you can clearly tell that she's just pissed off that she's having to do this. Probably in real life, she's really pissed off. But like, Sarah Berry, great actress. I like the Annie character. My vote of what should have happened was when the portal opened, she ended up finding an area or a place where she didn't get sucked into the portal, but Ash did. And so while Ash is gone, she's stuck in the future world, the present day, while Ash is back in the past. Because I really do think that there's no purpose in killing off Annie like that. There's just no purpose. I guess the most you could say was it was a cheap surprise. It was just like, oh yeah, remember that hand? It's still here, and now she's dead. And it's like, oh, well, that sucks. I really liked her because she could have been, along with Ash. But it's what it is. I still love the movie. I just wish that they would have done that a little bit differently. And I'm pretty sure right here, Ash is the only person to fight off the possession of the Deadites. And once again, it's because he remembers the love he had for Linda. And not only is it a callback to the first movie once again, but it's also a callback to earlier in this film. Okay, Brian, thanks so much for hanging out and chilling. I will see you later. Have fun, man. Thanks for hanging out, man. Wait, what movie confirms she's dead? She's dead, and she's dead. Like, she gets stabbed and she's bleeding. She's dead. Like, she never comes back. Oh my God, it's Corey. What's up, Corey? All right, Brian, you have a great night, man. Thank you so much for stopping by. Corey, man, you missed the party. You missed the freaking party. You got some drinks, we got some snacks, we got some Evil Dead. What are you doing? Nah, man, we watched Evil Dead 1 earlier. Right now, we're on Evil Dead 2. Annie is going berserk with this axe. I said I'm all right. Are you listening to me? Do you hear what I'm saying? I'm all right. I love it. I love it. Bruce Campbell is just hilarious. He's just naturally hilarious, And yeah, believe it or not, we're already basically at the end of the movie. I mean, all they gotta do now is go down and get the pages and summon the portal. I mean, we're at the end of the movie here, folks. And look how... Oh, shit. Okay, Corey. All right. Just woke up. It's 1 a.m. Why did you just wake up? Corey was partying, man. He was partying. I had like 3 hours of sleep, man. 3 hours of sleep. That's all I had. I literally... Was it 3 hours? Well, it was from 9 a.m. till 11:30. So however many that is. I've been up ever since then. And here we got the chainsaw ready up. Boom. Badass. Ready to kick some demon ass. Let's go in that cellar and carve ourselves a witch. Iconic, man. I mean, this is an iconic scene that, everyone talks about. It was really cool. Groovy. Had been up since 9 p.m. Oh my God. Yeah, man. No wonder. Oh, shit. Third shift life. Yeah, man. I feel you, man. I work kind of a second shift, but I feel you, dude. Sometimes days blend together when you're working nights. Because you kind of live in between days. Like that's what people don't understand about working nights is like it's not like days where you get to go to work, then you come home and you have time to chill for the rest of your day. It's like no, you have two choices. You can stay up till like 9 a.m., which is what I do. This is my choices. Stay up till 9 a.m. because you can't sleep, or you can go to sleep and wake up at like 12 p.m. or 11:30 a.m. or something like that. And it's just like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You gonna wake up at 12 and do what? Go for a jog or something? Maybe, I don't know. I just can't fall asleep like that, man. I'm just not like that. Like once I'm up until I'm tired. Sadly, I think I might have insomnia. I have to get back to that, but maybe we'll see. Or maybe I just like to fucking party, rock and roll. No, I'm pretty sure I have insomnia, but it is what it is. It's a thing. And this kind of is a cool thing where it goes back to the slow build suspense of the first movie. And, I don't think it's as scary, but I think it's a pretty cool callback, a tribute to trying to go back to the slow build of the first movie. So Corey, man, I gotta hear your thoughts on Evil Dead Rise. Are you gonna watch it in the theater? I'm gonna try to. It comes out next Friday, so I'm gonna try. I got Wednesday through Sunday off next week, or this week technically. So I'm gonna try and just watch movies, play games, rest up, just take some time to rest up. You know, at least for that week, have a halfway decent sleeping schedule. Do some shopping, get some groceries. Just a lot. Just plan on doing a lot of stuff. But Friday, Evil Dead Rise comes out. I'm gonna try and get tickets secured for that day. I know me and my friends were all talking about going and seeing that one, so I'll try to get my tickets. I'll try and get some, decent seats too. But we'll see. I mean, I honestly have a feeling because the last time I seen Evil Dead, it was packed. It was a full house at that theater. Last time I went to see Evil Dead was the remake, and it was a packed house. We had melatonin, but I don't. We're out of melatonin, man. So I have to get more. Plus, sometimes melatonin it doesn't work for me. Sometimes I'll take melatonin, and my eyes just get more heavy. Like I don't really get tired, but my eyes just feel like they're about to fall out of my skull or something. Like okay, maybe it's not that bad, but it's like with melatonin, I take a lot of it to fall asleep. If I take like one, all it really does is make my eyes heavier, and I'm just like, I mean, I'm drowsy, but I'm not like gonna fall asleep over here. And right here, I think this is a really good moment too, where Ash is rising. He's been beat up this whole movie. He's rising. Let's go. Really, just a really good crowd pleasing moment. I love how he has this combo right here: punch, elbow, kick, hit with the chainsaw. My eyes heavy as fuck. Take like 3 or 4. Yeah, I could do that. I mean, They weren't my melatonin, so I didn't. I was just like, man, I'll borrow one. They're not mine though, so I don't want to like grab a handful of melatonin and you know. But I gotta buy my own, man. I gotta buy some extra strong melatonin. Oh my god, this I won't lie, this creature design looks really disgusting. Like it's gross looking. The Henrietta design with the long neck. Oh, chainsawing the arms off. Decapitation. Flawless victory. Fatality. Ash wins. Was Ash in Mortal Kombat? I can't remember. Was he? A swallow your soul. Swallow this. And yeah, guys. I mean that's obviously not over yet, but we're nearing the end of Evil Dead 2, the Evil Dead adventure that we've been on. 1 and 2 Benadryls is basically heroin. You will sleep. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's like, guys, it's been 3 days since I've slept. I'm still not tired. Was that like that one movie, The Mechanic, with Christian Bale? Doesn't he just stay up for fucking weeks on end in that movie? And he looks like a freaking skeleton. Jesus, he said Benadryls. And right here, this is a good looking shot where it's a miniature of the cabin and the trees are coming out of the ground, busting the cabin down. Looks great. That shit right there, I'll take that over CG. Like this shit looks good still. And you didn't need CG to do this. Although nowadays obviously they totally would use CGI, but you know, I think that the look of the miniature house, the cabin, I keep calling it a house. God damn it. But the cabin's being broken apart. Looks great. And this the quote unquote rotten apple demon that's coming up looks really neat. I love the idea of revealing the identity, revealing the face reveal of the evil force. They call it the rotten apple head look, which is a pretty cool look. A lot of awesome creature designs in this movie. KMB, like I said, KMB really pulled off this movie. They pulled it off. You know, they made all these effects in like a gymnasium or a school office or so. I don't know. They were like in the school building and they made all of these designs in there. And they just had like very little time and very little money to make these. And it looks great. Which is kind of weird right here. There's a shot where Ash's hair like turns white on the side as of how scared he is. And like the flowers next to him are just dying. And you see right here, I'll be honest, I don't think this works at all. This is probably the one thing in the movie that I was thinking like, oh, this is lame. Like they kill off Annie like she's nothing. Can't really stand that, but it is what it is. Still perfect movie. It's just that's one thing that's always been like, oh, come on. Let's just not sleep and go blow up the water. What? What are you? What is this, Trenchy? What is this? Is this a threat of destroying water towers and replacing all of the mailboxes with bird boxes and bird boxes with mail? That would be a disaster. You would ruin so many lives, Trenchy. Oh my god. Nah, I'm just playing. But for real, oh damn. Trenchy got some evil plans up in here. Yep, there goes he said terrorist. That's what I was gonna say. Trenchy up here sounding like a terrorist. No more water for you. No more mail. Great. Now we can't pay our bills. And we have no water. Yes, celebration. course, the evil has been vanquished. But for now. Yeah, that's a really cool shot of the giant head of the demon with the little tiny heads coming out of it, which are the different faces of the people's, I guess, souls that you could take as like their souls that have been taken. Yeah, and this, like, a lot of the effects in Evil Dead 2, I will say a lot of them hold up more than Evil Dead 1. Like here, this portal scene, everything being sucked out of the cabin, it looks fantastic. It's kind of weird though because Ash gets sucked back in time, but it seems to be a bit different than an Army of Darkness. Every A Quiet Place with Bird Box. Corey, did you see that new horror film, The Pope's Exorcist? Man, it's okay. Passable, I guess. I'm not gonna watch it again, but if you like possession movies, I recommend it. But it is a bit of a weird ending because it does connect to Army of Darkness technically, but at the same time, it's a little different than that movie's opening. Which I think the alternate title for the third movie was going to be called The Medieval Dead. Which I was like, that's genius. Why didn't they use that, The Medieval Dead? Were they not allowed to use that? How? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Army of Darkness. That's a great title. But come on. Medieval Dead? Come on, y'all. That works. And technically, right here, they're all seeing the powers of the boomstick. So it's like, why are they so surprised later? But, of course, the prophecy has been revealed. It's been Ash all along, which is it was kind of obvious though, because you look at the freaking page, it's like, dude, it's a guy and the pants, the blue shirt, like it's you, man, it's you. And I think Sam Raimi is one of these guys. Yeah, right there he is, Sam Raimi, and the Knight Armor. Hell. Which is really interesting because you have the shot of the tower behind him from earlier, but you can tell, like, even right here, like I said, the matte paintings don't really age the great. I can tell it's a matte painting. But then again, you watch Wizard of Oz and you can tell it's matte paintings, but that doesn't really bother me. It's just you can kind of tell. Well, y'all, that's Evil Dead 1 and 2. We spent 3 hours talking about Evil Dead, but yeah, I mean, it's been fun, man. It went by real fast. These movies are great. And I'm going to try and watch Army of Darkness and the Evil Dead remake next week. But yeah, this has been a long time coming. I had this plan back in November to do this, but, I figured, it's better timing right now anyways. So, yeah. But yeah, man, we had so many people here tonight with Corey, Trenchy, Kelly, Carr showed up for a little bit, John, Brian, other John Steele, John Grande. We had just tons and tons of people here. I'm not able to even scroll up to see the names anymore, but there was just so many people here that stopped by and hung out. Thank y'all so much for watching some Evil Dead with me. These are some of my. Oh yeah, Colt, you're still here, Colton. Thank you for hanging out and watching Evil Dead, dude. It was a lot of fun. Totally forgot you were still here. My bad, man. That's I'm really tired right now, so not all there. But no, you can't do this to me, Corey. You can't do this. I've been through torture. No, I was joking. It was a lot of fun though, man. Evil Dead 1 and 2 were classics. It was fun to watch it with you guys. And yeah, thank y'all so much for hanging out. But anyways, that's it. This one is in the books. The Explorer 4 is out of here. I gotta go eat some stuff and drink some water and chill. 'Cause I've been watching movies and doing all kinds of stuff all day. And it's like, yeah, crazy. But anyways, thank y'all so much for watching. Stay tuned for some more upcoming live streams. And we'll see you guys there. The Explorer 4 is out. Bye.